This video is going to go through comma rule number 7, which, as you'll see in a little bit, is kind of like the opposite of comma rule number 2. So this deals with pauses at the end of the sentence, or things that are just added to the end of a sentence. So it says use a comma near the end of a sentence to separate contrasted coordinate elements or to indicate a distinct pause or shift. So in the ones on this page, you can see that was the right answer, wasn't it? Wasn't is just kind of added to the end of this one. In fact, if you look at the part before the comma, we have something that could be a sentence all on its own. That was the right answer. You're going to see that same pattern for all of them. The chimpanzee seemed reflective, almost human. This is just added on to the end. What we have here, the chimpanzee seemed reflective. That could be a sentence all on its own. She seemed to be too gullible, almost like she knew what was actually going on. Again, this is just added on to the end. This part at the beginning, she seemed to be too gullible, could be a sentence all on its own. So if we think back to how comma rule number 2 worked, we'll see a very similar pattern here. So with comma rule number 2, we had these phrases at the beginning, like before I go. Then we have something that could be a sentence all on its own. Could you help me out? Okay, so this is added on to the beginning. In the morning, I need to remember to take out the trash. This is added on to the beginning. I need to remember to take out the trash could be a sentence all on its own. Comma rule number 7 is the opposite. We have a sentence that could be all on its own at the beginning, and then elements that are added at the end that you usually pause before. So you could have a question at the end, like, wasn't I? I was right, wasn't I? Or you could have something that goes against or adds more detail to what came before it. So I knew it was the one on the left, comma, not the one on the right. Okay, so if you took this out, you would still have something that would be a complete sentence without it. So that's always a way of checking your answer, is to see if what you have left on the left side could still be a sentence all on its own. You can see that highlighted here a little bit more clearly, where the part in yellow is being added on and couldn't be a sentence all on its own. It's just a phrase or sometimes a clause. But the part in green is the main part of the sentence. Okay, so they're just flipped between these two rules. So if we practice this, we'll see some that deal with questions. So we'll see those first. I answered first, isn't that right? Here the question, isn't that right, is added to the end of this sentence. So before that question, we would put a comma here. Jason was the last one to arrive, wasn't he? Again, we have a question, wasn't he, added to the end of our sentence. So we put a comma before it. This is the last new one, This is the new one, not the one from last week. Here, we have a very similar one to that example from the last page where we are giving a little bit of extra information about what we're not talking about. But this is the new one could be a sentence all on its own, so we put comma there. Jamie likes PlayStation, not Xbox. You'll notice this word not used quite a bit in these examples. Again, Jamie likes PlayStation could be a sentence all on its own. She began to smile a little, almost like she had forgotten everything bothering her. So this is giving you a little bit of extra information about her. She began to smile a little is the main thing going on, and this description is added to the end. I waited patiently, perhaps a bit too patiently. Again, this is an extra thought added to the end. This is the main part of our sentence. I waited patiently. And that's the last one for comma rule number 7. So this one I think is a little bit more straightforward. It doesn't have as many twists and turns as comma rule number 6. But once again, please practice this one on your sheet and let one of the teachers in the room know if you have any questions. Thank you.